On November 22, 1963, three great men died within a few hours of each other: C.S. Lewis, John F. Kennedy, and Aldous Huxley. All three believed, in different ways, that death was not the end of human life. Suppose they were right, and suppose they met after death. How might the conversation go? It would be part of the great conversation that has been going on for millennia. For these three men represented the three most influential philosophies of life in our human history: ancient Western theism, Lewis; modern Western humanism, Kennedy; and ancient Eastern pantheism, Huxley. The word humanism can be used in three different ways. One, in its broadest sense, as an inheritance from ancient Greece and Rome. It signifies the importance and value of man, especially as over against nature. In this sense, it is not only compatible with traditional biblical theism, but is an ingredient in it. 2. In its narrowest sense, as a product of modern secularism and atheism, especially from the French Revolution, it signifies man taking the place of God. In this sense, it is not only incompatible with theism, but its archenemy. 3. But the term is also often used in a third, middle sense, also distinctively modern, as an emphasis on man rather than God, horizontal social activity rather than vertical religious experience, and religion without revelation, the supernatural, dogma, miracles, mystery, or authority. This is the sense used here. These three men also represented the three most influential versions of Christianity in our present culture: traditional, mainline, or Orthodox Christianity, what Lewis called mere Christianity; modernist or humanistic Christianity, Kennedy; and Orientalized or mystical Christianity, Huxley. Lewis took his Christianity straight, or mere, instead of reinterpreting Christianity in the light of any other tradition, ancient or modern, Eastern or Western. He interpreted those traditions in the light of Christianity. Following the lead of the medieval Christian philosophers in this way, he used much of ancient Western culture, especially Plato and Aristotle, as an aid for his Christian apologetics. Kennedy, though not a philosopher or theologian, was probably in a vague and general way a humanistic Christian in the sense I have just defined, although he did not give public expression to his personal religious beliefs, which is itself a humanistic rather than traditional attitude, relegating religion to private life. There is good evidence for this classification of Kennedy. Much of it is presented in Gary Wills's Bare Ruined Choirs. In any case, I take the literary liberty of supposing Kennedy to have been a typical modernist Christian in order to set up this complete and typical threesome. The purpose of the dialogue is not historical accuracy. The argument is all, as it is with Plato's Socrates. The fact that Lewis was a Protestant, an Anglican, and Kennedy a Roman Catholic is irrelevant here. Traditionalist and modernist Christians exist in both churches, and the difference between them is far more important than the difference between Protestantism and Catholicism. Whether the Pope speaks infallibly, ex cathedra, and whether there are 7 sacraments or 2 are far less important than whether Jesus is literally divine and literally rose from the dead. Our third man, Aldous Huxley, expressed his deepest religious beliefs in an anthology of mystical wisdom, The Perennial Philosophy, though he is better known for his novels. Like Kennedy, he sometimes used Christian categories to hold a different substance rather than, like Lewis, using Greek or modern categories to hold Christian substance. In Huxley's case, the substance was pantheism, and he reinterpreted Christianity as a form of the universal, perennial philosophy of pantheism. In historical fact, Huxley's Gnosticism was closer to the heart of his religion than his pantheism. But once again, I take literary liberties of emphasis for the sake of the argument in the dialogue. The events of November 22, 1963, almost seem to have been providentially rigged to set up the situation I have imagined in this dialogue, a microcosm of humanity's tripartite intellectual history as well as of the current tripartite debate among Christian theologians.